This is a video response and a challenge to Peter Joseph based on his reply to Stefan Molyneux. Both videos will be linked below, and any and all video responses will be accepted. Now, as I was listening to both sides of this debate, I was first allowing myself to be drawn into the details of each position. But then I took a step back and I looked at it, and I realized that the key is not in what's being said, but rather in what's being left out. Peter Joseph's argument is delivered as a multiple choice question. Either A, you support the current system and the paradigm which created it, or B, we move to his resource-based economy with everything that comes with it, including a computerized control grid which will dictate how every square inch of land and resource is utilized. Now, this is a clear example of a false dichotomy, also known as the false dilemma logical fallacy. It should be obvious to everyone that there's more than two choices. And just because you haven't heard someone propose the choice that you like is irrelevant. It is still intellectually dishonest and, in fact, dangerous to pretend that you have the one and only way. Now, we both agree that the current system is doomed. So let's not waste time defending a dead horse or accusing me of defending it. This system will most likely collapse in our lifetime. What's at stake is what will grow up or be instituted to replace the current system. My position is this: the system that you propose would not only fall short of the promises that it offers for those that are desperate for hope, but would in fact lead to an even darker and more oppressive system than the one we have right now. And I'm going to explain why. But before I do, I'm going to play a short clip just so we're clear where we're starting from.
You know, you can always tell when someone's nervous about a particular subject by the way they color their responses, especially if they present ego and they start to use sarcasm, and it's a very revealing thing to show the insecurity of the individual.
All right, those are your words. Now let's apply them to the following clip taken 2 hours and 12 minutes into the new Zeitgeist film.
When we consider a resource-based economy, there are often a number of arguments that tend to come up with regard to the efficiency.
Now hold on just a minute.
Yes?
I know what this is. This is called Marxism, buddy. Stalin killed 800 billion people because of ideas like this.
My father died in the gulag.
Hold on.
Communist,
Fascist. You don't like America, you should just leave.
All right, everybody just calm down.
death to the New World Order. Death to the New World Order. And as the irrationality of the audience grew, shocked and confused, suddenly the narrator suffered a fatal heart attack. And the seemingly communist propaganda film was no more.
Now, if you watch this film, consider the context and take a second to ask yourself, what's hiding behind Peter's sarcasm in this scene? He's resorting to mockery, and he's using it to avoid a very important question: control. In this future world that you claim is inevitable, all resources, all production, every square inch of what we currently think of as property would be controlled by a supercomputer. But who programs that computer? And who decides how that computer is programmed? Those people, whether you're willing to name them or not, will in fact be the ones who decide how resources are used. They will have the power of life and death over every person on this planet. And I know you hold out the hope that humans will evolve to a point where they can be trusted with such power. However, we can't count on what people may theoretically become someday. We have to deal with humans as they are right now. And right now, there's a certain percentage of humans that are drawn to power and will grab it if the chance arises. Now, I can imagine you responding by saying that a state of abundance would eliminate these tendencies. But if that's the case, I would challenge you to explain why the worst of these criminally insane men, which currently control our world, come from the world's richest families. To place all of humanity at the whims of a single system that could easily be seized by a determined maniac would be criminally negligent and utterly naive. You cannot stand before us and honestly promise that another Hitler-type individual will never be born on this planet again. You cannot control every parent. You cannot control every childhood, and you will never eliminate anomalies. Moreover, such a system would be the equivalent of monoculture farming. Planting all your fields with only one type of crop reduces biodiversity, and in the process creates a very fragile system. Economies, just like ecosystems, are much less likely to collapse entirely if there's variety. There's also another nagging problem. Your entire theory runs on the premise that you will eventually convert everybody to this way of thinking, or at least most of us. But the reality is, even a simple 51% majority is out of reach. There's whole sections of the planet who aren't interested and who'll never be interested, and who in fact will never be exposed to what you have to say. Will you send missionaries into Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Zimbabwe, and the Amazon like the Christians did? Anyone who's lived any period of time outside of our comfortable Western culture understands just how arrogant such a proposition sounds. If you did that, you would be no better than the rest of the European colonists who waltzed into countries that they didn't understand and then summarily destroyed their culture. And make no mistake, livelihood is part of culture. Land ownership is part of culture. I've posted an official challenge to Peter Joseph on a separate video, demanding an explanation of how those who don't go along with this program will be dealt with if no force is going to be used. So far, I haven't gotten a real answer yet. In the meantime, I think we've established that the official resource-based economy as promoted in the Zeitgeist film, has real and legitimate problems. Those problems are not minor details that can be glossed over or fixed at a later date. They are, in fact, inherent design flaws, which render it unworkable.